people frequently claim that immigrants and poor black families are living off the system. They're on welfare. They're mooching. But here is the truth. The majority of people on public assistance in the United States of America are white.
About 2 months ago, I stopped eating dinner almost every night of the week so that my boyfriend and I could have enough food left over to have lunch the next day, because I personally need to eat more in the middle of the day to be able to accomplish all that I have to do during the day. By dinner time, nighttime, whatever. If I'm hungry, I can just fall asleep through it. It doesn't really matter. This was before we were about to lose our food stamps. Mind you, we both work. I've worked since I was 14 years old. I have a college degree. But because we have children, and because aftercare and before care is too expensive, I've taken a job that's basically minimum wage so that I can be there to pick up my kids. I cannot fathom what we're going to do without that food stamp money, because if I already couldn't eat dinner with that food stamp money. So yeah, I'm glad some of you are happy.
So first, the face of poverty in reality looks very different than some people's perception.
Thank you.
Well, let me put a finer point on it. They think poverty is black and Latino and Hispanic people in this country. But poverty also includes a lot of white people in America.
Am I a bad person because I got a little smile on my face when I found out that 42% of the people that receive SNAP benefits are white people in red states?
Trump has cut my food stamps from $2,800 down to $350. Now, what am I supposed to do? So I literally just got this piece of mail today saying that due to new policy changes from the Trump administration, all this shit, whatever, that all these cuts and whatever he's doing over there, now they're telling me I have to go work. Now I have to go do all this. Well, I literally got 5 kids. Okay. I'm trying to sit here and spend time with them. I'm not trying to go work, 50, 60 hours a week so I can pay bills. I just really don't understand. I voted for him this last election because I thought what he had good was going on, but now all of a sudden, all this policy stuff's coming out, and now he's making all these cuts, and now he doesn't want to help the less fortunate people no more. I'm done with that guy. I'm not. If he gets voted in again, I'm leaving this country. Because I'm not dealing with this no more. This is all shit.
White America is waking up to a harsh truth. People who cheered for policies are thinking that we're going to hurt others, black people, minorities, or even immigrants. Reality has just hit home. Studies show that 76% of SNAP recipients, they live in rural red states. And it's a painful irony because the same policies they celebrated are now taking food away from their table. As SNAP benefits being slashed, many are now wondering how they are going to survive, how they are going to feed their kids. So let's get to see the reactions, and kindly hit the subscribe button and share your thoughts in the comments, all right? Let's dive into it.
A lot of people that are on food stamps and live in really poor areas also are Trump voters. I'm seeing a lot of videos right now where a lot of people are really pissed at Trump. They weren't mad at him when they got to see other people lose stuff, but now that it affects them. See, we're dealing with the kind of person here that takes joy in watching people lose stuff. They were indoctrinated from middle school. When they watch their middle school team lose or win, they get to go, ha, 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 I love watching you lose. That's what America does. It's called indoctrination. We now have a president who is like a toddler. He made an AI video where he dropped excrement from a F-whatever fighter jet, and he's wearing a crown. This is like a toddler in the White House, and he's punishing his own people who voted for him if they're poor. He is sending a signal to America that he's taking from you to give to his buddies, and this is what you voted for.
So I posted about white folks on food stamps, and one thing I kept seeing was that welfare was created for white people. I knew that it was created during the New Deal, so I did some more research because I didn't really know the whole story, and I thank you guys for responding and helping me learn stuff. So during the Great Depression is when we saw the beginning of things like Social Security, unemployment insurance. But here's the kicker. When Franklin Roosevelt built those programs, he had to make deals with Southern Democrats in Congress, the same folks who were big fans of Jim Crow, to get the support of these racist white Southern politicians. The programs were designed to exclude farm workers, domestic workers, jobs held overwhelmingly by Black, Latino, and Indigenous people. So right from the start, Black and brown families were pushed out of benefits so that white people could get them. Then we move forward to the 1960s, and there's this war on poverty. It finally opened up welfare programs more broadly, and that's when food stamps became permanent. Well, permanent, we don't know what Trump's going to do to them, but they lasted a long time. And guess what? The minute more Black and brown families started accessing this help, the politics shifted. Welfare got a new image and a new target. By the 1980s and 90s, with Ronald Reagan and his gang, they pushed the welfare queen myth. That's a racist dog whistle meant to turn public opinion against safety nets by blaming Black women for poverty that white policies created. That's the truth, you guys. So yes, welfare was built for white people, and when others finally got in the door, they tried to burn the house down. If you want to blame the right people, you got to get curious.
Too many privileged white people are coming here on this app and they're talking about people that benefit from food stamps, which most of them happen to be white. Most of them happen to live in Republican states, red state. Now, don't blame the Democrats because this is absolutely Trump's doing. He can fund it if he wanted to. He's funding ICE. He's sending $40 billion to Argentina. Why are you not mad with him? The only thing the Democrats want to do is make sure that you have affordable health care and people are getting their notice. So not only you're not going to have your food stamps until the government is back in order, but you're going to have a big freaking healthcare bill coming January. And before you start coming over here complaining about the Democrats, I need you to go to the videos in which people are crying, teachers, healthcare professionals, in which their insurance has doubled or even tripled. Good luck on trying to get food and trying to stay healthy. I'm not sure how long this is going to last, but this is the frustration that we have with you, a lot of MAGA people, because you guys still haven't done your due diligence in reading Project 2025, in which they are trying to destabilize the government and that they want to do away with all the safety net. Why? Because it caused chaos. But I'm going to tell you who's going to be just fine. It's going to be the Black and brown people because we have always been resilient. How about you go to your legislator and tell them how much your insurance premium is going up? Or how about you tell your legislator you want me to have children, you want me to raise children, but you don't want to give me money to feed these children. Stop telling women what to do with their body if you're not going to help them in the end. Anyway, my recommendation for you is to download the app called 5. Call your legislators, call your senator. Just want you to know that the Republicans will not negotiate with the Democrats. And this is why they're doing this.
Finally, you get to see the true America. The stipulation has always been that black people are lazy, that black people are on welfare. Well, guess what? A lot of poor white people in the red states are now crying that they're not getting the EBT money from the EBT cards. Why? Because they are on welfare. They have 7 and 8 kids. Now the truth is coming out since Trump has slashed funding for the EBT and the SNAP programs. You see how many white people now are on welfare. So all this mythical stuff about black people being on welfare. Oh, it's the blacks, it's the blacks, it's the blacks. Now you're seeing the real America, that it's not only black people on welfare, that there are a lot of white people on welfare also. There are a lot of white people, a lot of poor people living in those red states, and those red states that voted for Trump are now getting hit hard.
In America, there is a misconception about who is on welfare. Now, let me just say this. There is no one program in the United States that constitutes welfare. There are many social programs in the United States that are part of what the United States calls the social safety net, which is really not much of a safety net at all when you consider the meager benefits that people receive. So what I've decided to do is look quickly at the statistics from the last census. Now, this holds true going back, but actually in the last 20 years, it has increased. The number of people receiving public benefits of some sort or another has increased amongst one particular demographic, and that is amongst white people. 20 years ago, 61% of all the people receiving public benefits of some kind in the United States were white people. Today, or as of 2022, or as the last census, 76.2% of all the people receiving some form of public benefit were white people. And the rest were people of color, 13%, people of Asian extraction, 6%, give or take, and people of Hispanic, somewhere down in the middle there. So let's just talk about what constitutes public benefits. So I'm going to read this list here, and this is what makes up all of welfare, if you will, in the United States. Medicaid, SNAP, WIC, free or reduced price school meals, SSI, TAANF, energy aid, rental subsidies, unemployment compensation, and assorted other programs. So 40 million people in the United States live in poverty, and that number approximately is the number of people who receive public benefits of some kind. And of course that varies when you include Social Security recipients, Medicare, etc., which is not it's an earned benefit. So I'm going to eliminate that for the moment. So of those people, the number of people receiving public benefits, welfare, if you will, some form of social program, social safety net support, as I said, 76.2% are whites. So I think this is important to remember when people start talking out of their ass.
If you are naive enough to think that the pause to SNAP benefits on November 1st isn't going to affect you because you don't receive food stamps, I want you to hear this. About 1 in 8 Americans receive SNAP benefits. In fact, in Oklahoma, where I live, that's 1 in 6 people. So about 600,000 people in my state alone, Oklahoma, receive SNAP benefits. About 1 in 4 children in the U.S. receive SNAP benefits. But you're not one of those people, so you don't care, but hang with me. When those benefits go away, just about $9 billion in grocery spending vanishes. So you've got to be thinking about not just the grocery stores being able to stay open and pay their employees, but you have to think about the entire supply chain, trucks on the road, people who provide food to these grocery stores. $9 billion. Every dollar spent in SNAP benefits adds about $1.50 to $1.80 to the economy. So cutting those benefits isn't saving that dollar, it's taking away that $1.50 to your local economy. But you don't receive SNAP benefits, you don't work for a grocery store, you don't drive a truck, you don't give a shit. But when all of those things happen, the only way to combat that is to drastically increase the price of groceries. Grocery prices are already up over 3% in 2025 alone, which is almost an entire percentage higher than the average increase in grocery prices over the last 20 years. I thought they were supposed to go down day one, though. So even if SNAP benefits only pause for 1 month, which by the way would be detrimental to all the people I mentioned before that you don't give a shit about, it will cost the economy roughly $13 to $14 billion in profit. And you can expect your grocery prices in just that 1 month to go up at least 1%. And states will stand to lose about $300 to $500 million in sales tax revenue. So even if you do not receive SNAP benefits, you never have, you never will, you do not want these to be paused on November 1st.
This is for all the MAGA voters posting about not getting a shit about people not getting their SNAP benefits. Quick education, 55% of whites voted for Trump. Whites are the people who use SNAP benefits the most. They make up 37% of SNAP benefit recipients. And most of those people are in the Southeast and other rural areas. So you're talking about your own people, motherfuckers. God, are you fucking stupid? Think about that for a little while.
Government assistance was made for white people. The fact that the programs are made in like 1935, like in the 1930s, says it all right there, given the fact that black people were not even considered people under the law at that time. But I've really been doing some more research and reading, and I read an article and they were talking about how like up until like the 60s or 70s, black people really could not qualify for government assistance. And that is absolutely disheartening, being that now it hasn't even been 100 years later that black people are now the face of all racial stereotypes regarding government assistance in Section 8. Meanwhile, these same programs were never even made for us. Meanwhile, black people had to jump through hoops to get qualified. Meanwhile, people talk about black fathers not being in the home, and these same government institutions were not wanting the men to be there. Like, what the fuck?
This is a consequence of political manipulation in America. For years, our political leaders have always told rural white America that the enemy was the other, the minorities, black people, immigrants that were draining the system. They planted fear, division, and resentment, convincing people to vote against their own interest. But now, the truth is standing right before their eyes. The policies meant to hurt others are now hurting their own communities. Farmers are struggling. Small towns are shutting down. Families are choosing between paying rent and buying food, Hospitals are shutting down, and people are really suffering in rural America. The food banks are overwhelmed, while the shelves in rural red states, they're now empty than ever. This isn't just about politics anymore. It's about survival. The system that they defended is now showing its true colors, not red or even blue, but cold and cruel. The irony is heartbreaking because those families, they believed that they were standing up for American values. They believed the lies that welfare was meant for lazy people, black people. But statistics, they don't lie. The majority of those relying on SNAP benefits, Medicaid, and housing aid are white Americans living in rural, conservative areas. And these are parents, veterans, single moms, seniors who are promised prosperity but handed pain. Now as the cuts take effect, we see desperation spreading across. They are realizing too late that compassion and understanding would have protected them too. But they choose racism and they choose hatred, So when you cheer for somebody's suffering, that suffering will eventually come knocking at your doorstep, okay? And this is not the time to mock others, It is a time to reflect. It is a time to ask ourselves, how did we get here? How did we allow politicians to turn Americans against one another? All of us, whether black, whether white, whether Latino, whether an immigrant, we are just trying to survive, feed our families, live with dignity, okay? So this should be a reminder that empathy must replace division, and that pouring out of hate only leads to suffering and heartbreak. When you vote to hurt others, you vote to hurt yourself too. So let this be a lesson to many, okay? Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Have a good one. I'll see you in the next video.